let's take a look at how to make a 3D balloon powered boat inside of Tinkercad. Let's start by getting a paraboloid. We want to rotate it and stretch it out. Next, we want to grab a box that's a hole, stretch it out. We want it to cover the entire top. Gonna nudge it up using our arrow keys. Make sure we're centered on top. Change our view to the front. Flatten out our camera. We want to make sure it's roughly halfway up on the shape. After that, we're going to go ahead and group it. Go to the top view. Grab another box that's a hole. And we want to cut the top. We want to make this basically into a triangular shape with sharper edges from this top-down view. So we want to basically get enough overlap here to where it's going to have a nice sharp edge at the front, but the bottom of the design will still be round like a real boat. Let's go ahead and just nudge until we have the right amount of overlap to make a sharp point at the top. Once you're happy, go ahead and group that. You have your final shape. Now let's get a regular box again, and we want to change the dimensions on it so that it's going to match up with the paraboloid that we have modified. Just like with any kind of 3D modeling, you want to make sure you are checking things from different views and scaling it out. We can also make sure that our numbers match. So once that looks good, let's go ahead and stretch that out some more. When you're ready, go ahead and group these two pieces together. And now we want to think about getting rid of the portion at the bottom . So we're going to start by flattening that part out a bit. And now we should have a nice sharp edge at the bottom. We want to cut a little bit on the sides. Once we have that side, we're going to duplicate and do the same on the opposite side. Then we can grab a wedge, which makes a similar shape there. Scale that down. And stretch it across the length and make it line up with the shape that's on the actual boat in its current state. Once that goes all the way through, make it a hole, duplicate it, move it to the other side and flip it. Then we can select both shapes when we're ready, and we can group them. Now I want to get rid of that little seam there at the top. Now that seam is gone. Now let's make the inside of the boat. Once we have that rough shape, we'll go ahead and make sure it's centered. Nudge it down a bit after we look at it from the side. We don't want to make it too deep. Now let's go ahead and make some seats. So this is really simple. We're just using a box and making a little round, and then we'll go ahead and do Control D to duplicate, and we'll have a second chair. Once we have our two chairs, we can go ahead and put them on the inside. Nudge them into place with our arrow keys. Moving more towards the front. We still need to add the windshield in the front, an opening for our bent pipe, which will be where we will put the balloon after it's printed. So very simple. We're going to go ahead and make sure this is the length we want. Then make a small rotation using the protractor to give it a little bit of an angle. Then we can make this transparent when we're ready. So we can click on the solid color and choose transparent. Of course, that is just for aesthetic purposes while it's in Tinkercad. Now we'll go ahead and grab that bent pipe, rotate that into place. After we scale it down, we want the inside to be solid because this will basically function as the hole to cut through the 3D model. And then we'll take a duplicate of that does not have the solid design, and we'll have the opening, which will allow for the passage of air. Now that looks good. Alright, so I hope you liked that tutorial. Feel free to add any additional adjustments that you think you may need to do.